very handsomely escorted out of the building with my little box of stuff. I'm like, can I go back in? No. Give me your badge.
And I think what's really cool is you've done it in a way that's kind of the polar opposite of what I teach.
I made up a fake house. 80% suck.
And the businesses I invested in or bought that failed?
Hi, I do houses. Please hire me, please.
So I'd say 90% would be happy if it's clean. You know, if it's cleaner than when you started.
I can give you the ABCs of how to get fired from your job. I did a great job at it. I would have done it that way if I had more brain cells at the time.
And later on, that came to bite them in the ass, right?
So what do you actually do here? I'm good with people. I got people skills. He's yelling across the table.
My guest today is Ken Carfagno. Ken is a friend of mine. He's a fellow cleaning business owner, and he's also a former mechanical engineer. And I'm going to be talking with Ken today about how he transitioned out of mechanical engineering, which is a bit of a surprise for him, into solo cleaning in his wife's cleaning business, and his unique approach to earning more while working less. It's a very different approach to what viewers of this show will have heard espoused by me previously, but it's one that allows him to spend most of his time with his family, and it allows him to earn a full-time income with a very part-time schedule. So it's one that I want to share with you all because it's a very different but equally valid approach to your businesses. So Ken, welcome to the show. It's always a pleasure to talk, and I can't believe it's been so long since we've talked.
Yeah, it definitely has been, Chris, and this is great timing. There's a lot of good things going on. I appreciate that intro. I appreciate your friendship, and I'm ready to roll. Let's see if we can turn some light bulbs on in this audience, huh?
Very good. So today's topic is all about the mindset transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And I thought you could speak well to this because for you, you had to make this transition very last minute. So as a background for Ken, he was a mechanical engineer up until 2005. Unfortunately, he had to be escorted out of his building at short notice.
You remember that story?
It's the kindest way that I can say it. Anyway, he got escorted permanently out of the building. And
it was.
He had to transition to his wife's solo cleaning business, who she had just started maybe 3 to 4 months, I think, before this event had happened. And so, Ken, you had to very quickly change the way that you perceived your work and your career and what you wanted out of life and prepare yourself to be a business owner rather than an employee. So I wanted to ask you, as our first question together, could you share with us why a cleaning business? Why did your wife gravitate towards the cleaning business? And when you left your job involuntarily, what made you decide, hey, I'm going to join forces with her, and this is a path that we're going to take together?
You make it sound like there was a plan. All right, everyone. There was no plan. Here's what happened. Ken was an arrogant mechanical engineer that was also doing a network marketing business at the same time, and he wanted to earn his freedom for his family. I was already had the entrepreneur bug, but trapped in a job. So he got his butt fired, and as Chris just said, very handsomely escorted out of the building with my little box of stuff. I'm like, can I go back in? No. Give me your badge. So yeah, that's how that happened. And it wasn't like we planned a cleaning business. So that was October 30th of 2005. On July 25th, so it would have been, that's the day that we started, that we got the DBA for Carfagno cleaning. So three months prior. So probably around the 1st of July, holiday weekend, most likely. That's somewhere in that time frame. And I'm still back and forth I was working at GE. I was going out in the morning. I remember each morning the pain of watching my wife's a stay-home mom with the baby, and she's out in the back patio of our apartment. And I remember walking like down the sidewalk to where my car was parked, and I would look up, and there's my wife holding our newborn baby, who's now 19. And they're just looking at me like, bye, daddy. I'm like, I have to go to work. This sucks. And I would just trudge back and forth to work. And one of those days, while I was at work, again in July, the property manager for the apartment complex, he was just kind of walking around, and And he's a talkative guy. And he looks up. My wife was out there, maybe sweeping the porch or whatever she's doing, and she has my little guy up there, and he's like, oh, her name's Teresa. Like, oh, hi, Teresa. And this guy's name is Brett. Oh, hey, Brett, how's it going? And he's like, she's like, oh, what is it? And he goes, the cleaners again. He starts complaining. She's like, what happened? Oh, the cleaners didn't show up. And then he goes, and then it's like, she said she could describe it like a bell went off, like ding. And he stopped. He's like, he looks up. Teresa, would you like to clean?
Wow.
and that's how we started. And she's like, well, I don't know. My husband's a pretty good cleaner. I guess wow, what do you have in mind? Well, our cleaner's not doing a good job, but we could feed you some apartments that, right here at the complex. It's really easy to get to. There's this one. And all you have to do is go get an insurance policy, show it to me, and we'll get you set up. She's like, okay. So she talked over with me that night. I'm like, well, the extra money wouldn't hurt, but I'm a big time engineer. Like, that'd be your thing. Awesome. So she does it. She starts cleaning apartments with the little guy on their back.
Oh, wow.
Like one of those ergo carriers is like, the book bag with the straps and
Yep.
and he's on the back, and she gets a backpack vacuum. She's vacuuming. She's cleaning with him on the back, and she's doing maybe a couple apartments a week. And then she'd recruit me. I'd be like, get back from work. It's like, hey, I really could use your help finishing this one. Oh,
That's a
fine, I'll
long
come.
day.
So I would help finish a few.
Huh.
But I mean, that's really the starting point. And then as far as like, well, Ken, how did you make that transition? Well, funny you should ask, because fast forward 3 months later, this little dinky cleaning business. And I'm like, well, there's that. We have another side business. We actually had 3 side businesses at the time. A network marketing, wedding merchandise, like invitations and like wedding gown preservations, like my wife was doing that, and then cleaning. And maybe all of them combined made $500.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then the full-time job, and I get fired, and just the sheer gravity of that, the fear of that, like that's my entire life, my future. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So, well, I'm going to have to, like, once I tried every route possible, meaning I called every single person that ever I have any influence with in my 5+ years of GE, begging them, can you get me back in? No one could help me. I was out. I was out as out could be. And then, well, I guess I'm gonna start cleaning and helping out, because we got to make money. We're like about to go into the worst year of our life, but it was super fun, as far as like almost completely destitute. But like when I was forced into it, I got my resume ready, tried to get back out there, and nothing was shaking. Like nothing was shaking. My confidence was crushed, because I just got fired from the only thing I'd like done. And here's this cleaning business. And here it is, right with all this, in the midst of all this, I get a call randomly. See Brett behind the scenes, the apartment guy, his boyfriend. I'm like, his boyfriend worked at Coldwell Banker as a real estate agent. He had given my information. I didn't know any of this. Coldwell Banker had something called the concierge services, where they have the different trades, and getting houses ready for sale, and they can get all the different services, the plumber, the cleaner, the carpet cleaner, the painter, the handyman, all that kind of stuff. And so I get a call from them, and they're like, yeah, Ken, your information came across our desk, and we're looking to bring on another preferred vendor for cleaning. Would you be interested in coming in for an interview? I'm like, yes, of course. I got nothing. Like, no, what am I going to do? That was in February, 3 months after I was fired. So for those first 3 months, it was just, what am I going to do? I had no idea. That's probably where you pick up, like, okay, well, what are the things I maybe did during that time? But then I got this interview, just the hand of God moving, and I got in with them. And from there, they started feeding me work and challenging me and putting me in uncomfortable situations. And I had some of them were mentoring me too, like some of the realtors and some of the people in that program got me out there cleaning. But once I was in the action mode, that's a big hurdle, is that people tend to overthink it. Stop overthinking it. Just, and that's me. I'm an engineer, Overthinkers Anonymous. Like, I was forced. Oh, I wonder if I should do a business. I wonder what's the perfect business plan I should create here. Like I had a baby at home, a wife that was a stay at home mom, and I got no income now. I need to do something, and
Anything but
there was fear. I had no choice. So, like the way you posed the question, like let me just be real, like that's not what it was. Like I had no choice, and so action, action cures fear. Action's the only way you can, because you're going to screw up. You have to be willing to screw up.
But while at the same time as your ego took a bruise, you also found a level of humbleness that the business provided you where you could source that income by being willing to go all in after you saw other options weren't extending themselves.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a variant of the first question then with that background.
Okay.
I would say, so in terms of the mindset changes that you saw within yourself take place, can you describe some of the mental adjustments that you had to make in the early days when you were starting to consider the cleaning business as a serious pursuit rather than a last ditch option? All right. I noticed the way that you described yourself, you tried very hard to get back into mechanical engineering. It wasn't working. That's got to have some strong feelings inside, right? So what are some of the shifts that you noticed in yourself as you went full-time into cleaning?
Oh, wow. Perseverance, being willing to get no's. They were difficult in the beginning. Confusion, not knowing what to do. There wasn't, hey, Facebook groups. There wasn't Facebook groups in 2005 going into 2006. I had a MySpace account, but that one dude that set it up for me, he never helped me, whatever his name was. So there wasn't the impact of social media. So there was a lot to overcome. First of all, fear. Fear is a big one. And the thing that I found that overcame that, because I also at this point was a big reader. And so even like I had been, again, in a multi-level business. So coming from an employee, like my journey to entrepreneur started before the cleaning business started. I was already soaking my mind in like incredible books. And these books started to change the way that I thought. Nothing's going to come, in a New York second. Nothing, you can't put something in a microwave and 2 minutes later you get this amazing dinner. Like that works with a TV dinner, but with a business, you really need to have a long-term plan, long-term thinking. You gotta be willing to invest money, invest time. Fear is inevitable, sort of, but you have to be willing to overcome the fear and take action. That was a big one for me. Being an engineer and getting stuck. Like I see, I'll get into this in a little bit, but I see some commonalities of what people struggle with. I did a whole presentation on this actually for the Maid Summit this past year. And there's 4 areas that I see people struggling in that holds them back. Mindset's one of them. Another one is financial. They don't know their numbers. Another one is strategy. They don't have a plan. They don't know where they're going. They don't know how to get there. They can't even they don't know what foot to put in front of the other. And the last one is just the ability to work with people and interact with people, like people skills, basic stuff like common courtesies. And so there's these challenges that I was reading books a lot and starting to overcome that and go over these fears. And but I also because I'm an engineer, I was always really good with numbers, and that can be it's a huge strength for me. But also it was a crutch. It held me back because I would analyze, the Strengths Finder, the Strengths Finders, Clifton's.
The online assessment one?
Yeah. So like I've done that recently, and big shock. Analyzer was number 1.
No surprise.
Analytical. Like, okay, those are my number 1. Like I knew that. So I got bogged down a lot. Like, well, how am I going to price this in the beginning? I don't know. So I did all these spreadsheets trying to figure it out. And eventually I remember isn't that before the interview? I remember okay, well, what am I going to do? So I just called up. I made up a fake house. Hey, I I have a 2,500 square foot house with 4 bedrooms. It's actually my dad's house at the time. I was picturing my dad's house. I'm like, okay, I'm going to call a few cleaning companies. I called a couple that were like out of the area in case they knew who I was or something. And then I called a couple locally, and whatever answers I got, I put them in a spreadsheet, and I'm like trying to make equations and like, and I overthunk it. Thunk, thunk, thunk. And that's something that held me back is just getting so deep into that. Whereas a few months later, when I got thrown into this, I'm the type of person that I need to be thrown into it. And I was thrown into this concierge program, and they're just throwing work at me. I'm like, wow. And I had to figure stuff out quickly. So I'll pause there because it was a broad question. I'm not sure which direction you wanted to head, but I threw a bunch of stuff out there. Which direction you want to dig with a shovel?
I'll dig it in the practical direction. I did want to say It's really interesting, the 4 things that you notice. I noticed very similar things in my students. And so when a student with an existing business comes to me, I find there's kind of 2 types in terms of the finances. There's the types that don't know any numbers at all, and they just want to grow. And I kind of have to claw them back and say, whoa, let's take a look at your reports dashboard. Let's start tracking this. I know you want to grow. But you're going to grow in a very bad way if you don't know these numbers. Or there's the other type of student that are the bookkeeping analytical types, where they're 90% of their time is projections and spreadsheets and trying to optimize the numbers. And 10% is growing.
It's me.
Yeah. It's really an interesting, there's not much of a middle ground. It's quite a split personality in terms of the finances, I find.
Oh, you just nailed it.
It's interesting. In my personal life, I'm very mathematical, but in my business life, I'm not. I don't know why that hasn't carried over. But for me personally, I've been so marketing and sales oriented and not enough financial oriented. So that's one of the weaknesses that I've had to shore up over the years by outsourcing it, admittedly, but I've had to work on that myself too. I would say let's take it in the direction of someone contemplating a similar move. Maybe they didn't get fired, but maybe they're not happy in their career. So they're thinking, I know I want to be a business owner. I can't really do the employee thing much longer. But they're not quite sure about making that jump. Do you think, and I know you work mainly with solo cleaners, so people who already have a business, but do you think you could walk through a couple of the practical steps that you would suggest to a friend who's thinking of going into business for themselves, but they're afraid to make that transition? How might they safely make the transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur?
First of all, what is better than owning your life? What is better than having your own business, not answering to a boss ever again, not having to sit in a cubicle ever again? I just watched the movie Office Space with my son recently, one of my favorites from the 90s. Just the show The Office is kind of based on it. Yeah. That life, I knew that life wasn't for me. If you love that life, then don't listen to anything else we're talking about. This life is for the people that want to pursue a life of freedom. You want to have time, money, emotional flexibility. You don't want to be told what to do. You want to be able to choose the life that you want. Now, can you do that in a job? There are some that you can. The path that I had looking forward wasn't. I knew that I was going to be trapped in a job. I could get very wealthy in it, but I would be completely owned by the company. I didn't ever want that. So I saw freedom as like there's nothing better than that. I was willing to try to get freedom, knowing that I might never make it, versus be stuck in a job and have to be in a prison the rest of my life. I was willing to take that chance. So if I'm too afraid, okay, I get it. So let me walk you through a practical thing to think through. Don't start with offices. Start with houses. Okay, we're going to do cleaning as a business. Is that okay? Because we were talking to cleaning people.
We're both cleaners. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Because I'm not talking like my son's an electrician. We're not getting into that because I don't want to put the wrong wires together. I might blow something up.
Yeah.
Just take a look at just some analytical stuff. Just put this in your brain. Commercial, residential. They're both awesome. They're both very profitable. They're both needed. There's a lot of bad cleaners out there in both. and you're going to be the ones that are going to be the good ones. First of all, you got Chris teaching you. You'll be the good ones. There's a lot of bad ones out there. A lot of bad ones.
Oh yeah.
80-20 rule. 80% suck. An example here. Let me tell you something. I do quality control. So I do have a team now. I just solo for almost 20 years, but I do have a team now. I do quality control, and I'll grade a cleaning from 0 to 10, or my inspector will go from 0 to 10, and they need to hit an 8 out of 10 to be excellence. Like that's the level of excellence that passes. Just an 8. You can make mistakes. It's okay. When I do an estimate, I noticed this when I used to do estimates at houses, but now I'm in offices. I go to an office and I'm there. I'm thinking, so do you currently have a cleaner? And they're like, oh yeah, we do. I'm like, was he here? I'm thinking in the last 5 years? Like, what's the deal? And I'm doing like a little inspection of the building. I would grade a lot of the offices I do estimates for in the 3 to 6 range out of a 10 on my scale.
Mm-hmm.
We train our employees, and me personally, I clean all those years. I clean 8, 9, and 10. If we just do an 8, which is not hard to do, an 8 out of 10, that's 80%, 80-20. If we just do 8 out of 10, that's twice as good as the competition.
Oh yeah.
And I can charge a lot more. So just knowing that you're going to be awesome and way better than people out there, that's one thing. There's freedom. That should draw you in. 2 is that you're better than what's out there. Oh, there's so many people, there's so many competition. 3, there is a plethora of houses that need cleaning. And there is a lot of buildings that need cleaning. Well, where do I start? Well, that's a matter of choice. Do you want to work during the day? Do you want to work at night? Do you want to hire people for day work? Do you want to hire people for night work, depending on how you're doing a hiring or doing a solo thing? But here's a generality. Commercial is hard to get, easy to do. Residential, easy to get, hard to do. Start with residential. It's easy to get. Hi, I do houses. Please hire me, please. It is literally that easy. And if you read the book, The Go-Getter, actually read that one too. The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. Have you read that one?
I have not.
If you read The Go-Giver, it is a step-by-step instruction on how to make yourself known, respected, liked, to build know, like, and trust in any community that you're in. It'll teach you how to do it. And it's not fancy tech and Google ads. It's just being a person of giving, generosity, influence, helping people, solving problems, becoming known. And then they start, wow, but you have a cleaning business. It's amazing. You can create this incredible magnet. There's so much to this. But I just want to lay this out. It's like, so again, the freedom part, you'll be the best out there, especially with Chris teaching you. 3 and 3, the competition. Don't worry about competition because there's so many houses to clean. I mean, we could have 1 million more cleaners, and we will in the next 10 years, and there's still going to be houses needed. Just look at industry. Look at how fast buildings are being put up and how the housing developments and stuff. But I would just add this too is like, if you start with the residential. If you really want to do commercial, that's fine. Like you can totally do that. And it's just a longer term sales cycle. Like I just got a brand new law firm today. I've been marketing it for 4.5 years. That's how long some of them take. Could be a month. It could be 5 years. But for me, it's worth it. I'm in it for the long game. So start with residential because you can get stuff quick. And then as far as like the strategy, well, how do I know if I can leave my job? Don't leave your job yet. But in this economy, I remember, so the Tim Ferriss's book,
4 Hour
why did I forget? Yeah. 4 Hour Work Week. I know that was one of your big ones, right?
Huge.
Back when he wrote that, he didn't know there was going to be the remote economy. He was trying to teach people, here's a strategy for how you can exit yourself from your job. Basically, by doing the whole week's worth of work in like 3 or 4 days, and then getting a day off or 2 you can work from home. Like he was showing us how you can get fully remote 1 day at a time in that book. You don't have to do that now. Most jobs are half remote; they're hybrid. And
from day one, isn't that great?
I mean, Tim Ferriss's book doesn't even need to sell now because it's just like that.
I was just going to say it's interesting what you're saying. because I feel like we're on such a similar wavelength often. We're
Yeah.
coming from a different direction, but our wavelength is very similar. So what I tell people is almost exactly what you're saying is you have to have a clear desire and inclination towards being more free, which also means being less secure because there's more risk with being free. You have to have the inclination, but you don't have to. The fear often comes from the unknown. You've never been a business owner before. That's why you're afraid. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how to do sales. You don't know how to retain clients. But
Right.
when you realize there are proven pathways that other people have taken to do that same business, a lot of the fear will disappear if you can follow that same pathway. You don't have to do your own unique model from day one. You can copy someone else's business and be pretty successful at first before you customize it, right? So you have to have the inclination for freedom. You've got to follow a proven pathway, and you have got to be willing to take an amount of risk and hard work that you didn't before because you weren't exposed to the need for those risks and hard work in your jobs, right? So it's so interesting to hear you say exactly what I would have said.
It, yeah, and you could even kind of superimpose what I said about residential versus commercial. You could put that into job versus business.
Right.
Job, easy to get, hard to do. The rest of your life, hard to do. A business, it's kind of hard to get, but I think it's easy to do once you're there, and the rewards is just incredible. The rewards of a business, just the tax. You get one of these bookkeeping nerds like me, like I used to be, and just explain to them the tax benefits alone of you have a job at a business. Even if you show a loss, you're going to get a bigger tax refund from your job, like the total taxes. And then, the process is like this, don't just quit your job. And you can get fired like me. Go for it. I can teach you how. It's not hard. Like I can give you the ABCs of how to get fired from your job. I did a great job at it. If you want to do it a better way, then, got the job. It provides your income. Make sure it does. Don't be overspending. So maybe the first thing you want to do practically is something like the Dave Ramsey program is take a look at what your income is, get some of that debt chunked off, get some seed money in the bank, some cash, and make sure you have a clear differential between what comes in and what goes out. Don't start upside down where you're making $5,000, but you have 7 in expenses. Don't start a business from that place. Don't do that. Get yourself financially stable first. I mean, don't spend too much time on it, but get yourself to a position of strength and then start your business. Find the times that you can do it, whether, through model A with, a team and you just stay at the job, or model B, you're able to remote work and you can go solo clean one day or one night, a couple hours, you find your spots, whatever those spots are. You get a couple jobs in the calendar. How do you get those jobs? Well, there's a sales process, there's a marketing process. They come with time. But again, the go-giver will teach you how to bring those in. And then you start getting some jobs on there. You're like, oh, I made some money. Look at that. This is pretty cool. Eventually, you start getting profit from the business. And as a rule of thumb, I would say that depending on how aggressive you want to be, but if you can get your part-time side business to about two-thirds of your full-time income, take into account what that needs to be with the tax deductions, tax write-offs. If you have a $100,000 job, you take home $75,000. If you have a $100,000 business and you're working solo, you're going to keep a lot more than that. And the tax write-offs and just so they're not equal. So maybe a $100,000 job could be a $70,000 business. So know what that looks like. Map it out a little bit. When you get about two-thirds of the profit you need from the business toward what you need to live off of, now the job money, you can put that in the bank or the business money in the bank. Then go ahead. What I like to say is now go get yourself a waiting list. Go get yourself a waiting list of customers that would, in theory, take you from two-thirds potentially all the way up to 100% or 80%. And then once you've got that waiting list, it's a little extra security because you're like, I'm about to quit my job. But I've got 5, 6 more customers that the moment I say quit my job, hello, yes to 6 or 8 new customers that have been waiting, and you're in the land of the free. I would have done it that way if I had more brain cells at the time, but I had too many arrogant ones that were like, you know what? Let me just get fired. That's you know what? There's going to be a day, 2024, in about 18, 19 years. I'm going to be talking to this really successful, young, 30-year-old Japanese, American Japanese, I guess you're that, American Japanese business owner. And I'm going to have this really great story about how I got fired and I still succeeded. So that's why I did that, just for this interview.
That's very forward thinking.
Long-term thinking.
That's a great summary, man. Freedom, a proven pathway, part-time transition, line up a wait list. So when you do quit, you're quitting with good news by accepting more customers. And I would, before moving on, I'd like to point out one thing you said earlier I thought was very insightful. You talked about how many people are already in the industry of the businesses that you want to start. And you think we think that's a reason to not do it. And I would say, building off of what you said, the amount of people in an industry or the amount of businesses in industry is no indication whatsoever of the quality of the services that they're providing.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can focus on the quality aspect rather than the amount of people offering a service, then you're oriented towards the right way of thinking to build your business. That's the first thing I'd build off from. The second thing is, we mentioned how many new houses are being built and how many new developments are being built. I think that's a really great point, looking at the future of any home service industry, whether that's painting or cleaning or lawn care. There are hundreds of thousands of homes being built every single year in North America, but also over in Europe, in each European country. France has 200,000 or 300,000 a year. The UK has 300,000 or 400,000 homes being built every year. That's a lot of home service providers that those homes are going to need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at the home services industry. If you look at the amount of technicians available, and then you look at the amount of homes being built, you'll see it's a very favorable long-term trajectory for you if you become a home service provider. So the amount of people in the industry is no reason to not start.
You know, one of our common friends, Debbie Sardoon, she always says this too: 300 is $1 million company. 300 to 350. That's $1 million company. What is the ratio of houses to actual cleaners? I don't know the number. If you go to any, America, however many domiciles there are, compared to like maybe 500,000 to 1 million cleaners. Well, it's probably quite a ratio. It could be several hundred to one. And most companies, most cleaning companies, 80% are going to be solos, freelancers. A lot of people that aren't insured, that are unprofessional. You got a lot of them. So it's 10%, 20% tops that are actually building teams successfully. So you're actually not going against much. There is plenty of houses, and all you need, if you want to be $1 million company, get 300 really good ones. That's another thing. Oh, wow. I don't need 1 million houses. I just need a couple hundred of them. I mean, right?
It's incredible. Some of the owners that we both know who've been in the industry 20, 30 years, if you ask where they're based, some of them have very small service area populations. I'm talking 10,000, 15,000, and they have really big businesses because they've taken the slow build approach where they've offered a really good service over a long period of time to each client they have. And even though their service area is tiny, they've been able to maximize their company's growth in a way that most other companies in bigger areas will never see because they're not focused on the right things. So it's really interesting to hear you say that. I would ask this then. This is something that I always find interesting when I talk with you, Ken. In my mind, you're one of the people in our industry who've mastered the art of working less while earning more and having more time for your family too. And I think what's really cool is you've done it in a way that's kind of the polar opposite of what I teach. Both ways are completely valid, but it's a totally different approach. What I do is...
Are you saying I'm your yin or yang?
I am. It's interesting because we're both operating off of the 80-20 principle.
Yes.
But we do it in different ways. I teach typically a model where you want to automate and delegate early on to free up your time so that you as the owner can focus on growing it, or you can go live your life and do whatever. I want to get you to that stage where you have an office team who's handling the day-to-day for you. But what you do in terms of time saving and in terms of profit is the same and sometimes better than what I'm doing. But you're staying solo, or you might have a part-time team helping you is what you teach. So what you're doing is you're teaching people to stay small, to stay lean, and to stay very profitable such that they can work 1 or 2 days a week, but they're earning a full-time income from working 8 or 15 hours a week. To me, that's an incredible business model that you've built that people are now repeating who are students of yours. And I'd like to hear some of the key strategies or some of the high-level principles that you teach your students around working efficiently and around staying profitable when they're small.
Oh, okay. This is fun. My strategy is called the ISO model. ISO: initialize, stabilize, optimize. There's 3 levels. They all say to me, "I want to optimize my solo cleaning business like you did, Ken." I'm like, "Great." And they say, "Well, show me how to optimize." Not so fast. There's some principles here. So maybe for some background too, just for your audience's sake. 2005, fired, started the cleaning business. 2006, call a banker. I'm run all over the place. I'm doing everything that I possibly could think of: windows, carpets, floors, houses, apartments, school libraries. I did a pool. I don't even know all the stuff I did. Post-construction. I found the niche I liked from all that. Started getting into houses, solo house cleaning, etc. Optimized. And I did solo cleaning from 2005 until 2021. 2 different states, sold the first business, started another one, did it again. So that's quite a long time. So this strategy, which took me 13 years to figure out what it was. And the first business, the ISO model, when I sold the first business and moved to the Philadelphia area, I already had the roadmap. I already knew what to do. Just like you have a roadmap for what you teach. If you were to kill, not if you were to kill the business you got right now, which took you, it was pretty quick for you, but it still took you some time. I have no doubt you could start it over in a different area and do it in a probably 20% of the time. Would you agree?
I think that's accurate, and I'm doing that right now. That's a different story.
Well, I did the same thing. And the second time around, it did take me 13 years. It took me about 15 to 16 months to do the second time. I knew what I was doing. I also added in like networking. I never did any local networking. So well, let me get out there and meet people and be a giver, be an influencer, get my know, like, and trust factor through the roof as quick as possible. People start referring you like pinballs. So the strategy ISO model, I shared all that just so people can get an idea from kind of what I've done, because I was solo for a long time. I'm not currently, but this is my heart. I'm helping the people that are starting out, and that they basically say this to me: I'm struggling. I'm afraid. I don't ever want to deal with employees. I've tried it. I'm going back. I just want to clean, but I don't want to not make any money. Like I'm struggling because I don't want to have to hire people, but I'm not making any money. Like they're in this like chasm, like this place of tension, and I was there. I remember working so much as a solo cleaner, and I wasn't making that much. I wasn't providing for my family, but I had no more time on my calendar. And that's a very desperate place to be. And I was there, and I had to kick in the ISO model to do that, to get out of that. So the ISO model, so initialize, think of it like this. You're going to build a table, you're going to build a house, you're going to lay a foundation. The foundation is the initialize. And in that kind of section, and I have a roadmap I'm just looking at on a separate screen. You see my eyes go over.
Sure.
But the kind of 3 boxes in this roadmap for initialize. What does that mean? Well, the first thing is that you never had a business before, or you're working as a solo, but you're working as a solo with a employee's brain. You're not going to grow with an employee mindset. I don't care if you have whatever the business, you have an employee's mind, you're not going to grow, because employees' brains won't grow business. You need a business brain. You do. So the first piece is I call this overcoming the 4 fundamentals. And the 4 fundamentals, it's like in baseball, is a hitting, pitching, throwing. There's the four tools of the 4 fundamentals. And for my ISO model, You got to know your numbers. It's financial. I got some stats, which is kind of fun. I can share with you. I won't dig into that now. But I got financials, a big piece. You got to know your numbers. That's a big piece of business owner mindset. And then mindset itself. You got to have, like I said, I already went through that. You have a business owner's mindset. We talked about some of those things earlier already. Third thing is strategy. You got to know what to do. You need to have a business plan. You got to have some kind of a plan. Mindset is part of the plan. The numbers will also propel the plan. So those are all kind of building upon each other. And I hesitate to call this last, but I call it people, just people. You got to be good with people. I'll go back to that scene from Office Space again. So what do you actually do here? I'm good with people. I got people skills. He's yelling across the table. You got to understand human behavior. Yes, it's cleaning, but business is people. Whether you're doing cleaning or you're selling widgets or you're an electrician or you're whatever, business is people. Business is products, but people buy products. Wait, did you guys get that? Let me say that again for all the guys that are all in the bookkeeping nerds like me. Cleaning is what you're going to do, but it's people that need cleaning. You better learn how to connect and understand human behavior and human psychology, how to generate know, like, and trust with other human beings. That's people skills. There's lots of books for this. That's a huge piece. Most people, you just read some posts on Facebook and tell me how good people skills are. Like just the group comments. It's a cesspool. So that's the first piece. So you got to overcome these fundamentals and start developing the skill set. That's a business. That's what you do as an entrepreneur in the beginning. All four of those pieces. And then I have systems. I help them install some basic system, like some basic cleaning, basic marketing, just basics to get going. Like, learning how to fish and where to throw the fishing line. Maybe learning what pond to fish in, like trying to figure out maybe some of your niches, some basic stuff. But you start your business and you initialize. You go and you start getting some customers. You make a mess. I'm going to price. I'm not going to price right. Well, price by the job, not by the hour. Price by the job, and go make a mess. If you don't charge the right number, that's fine. Pricing to win as an initializer is just pricing so that you can get some customers. I don't care. You might get $100 for a house, and that is bad. No doubt, that is bad unless it's like a really small house. Like a hobbit lives there, $100. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Tiny little college
Tiny
dorm,
house. Yeah. $200. Okay, now that's better. All right, but just get it because you need the experience and you're in the action mode. You're getting over your fear. You're developing your confidence. You're getting better with people. You're initializing, and somewhere around, I have a metric I use in my system. It's called the peace factor. Feel free to borrow this. It's pretty cool. Peace factor is how much money do you need to live? Here's your expenses in your home, in your household. How much money is that? Is it 4,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatever that number is? Peace factor is the percentage that your recurring profit from your business is making. And so initialized, you'll probably be about 20%, 10, 20%. But you've initialized, you've started, you're in the action mode. The second part of this is stabilize. So you know what? You don't want to hire. So in what I'm teaching you, what I'm teaching isn't like we're going to hire. This is, you don't want to hire. You don't want the drama of employees. But what Chris said, or if this sounds good, how would you like to make 6 figures cleaning by yourself without the drama of employees? You can do that. Or if you don't want to work that much, hey, work half-time, work part-time for a full-time income. Make 60, 70, 80 grand part-time. How's that sound? You can do that without the drama of employees. You can do it. I've done it twice. You can do it. I teach it. So to stabilize, you move into the next part where I have a little bit more meat on the bone. Now it's like I have a marketing system, a sales system, more comprehensive cleaning system, really building up the next level of turning them more into a professional, more than they were. And now they're more confident in what they're speaking. They know who they're looking for. So pricing to win here isn't necessarily like, well, just getting anything. I'm teaching them how to find the right client now and how to get that client at a much better price. And now and I move them from there. Like now they got this real good business image of themselves, and they're kind of moving through. They're getting confident, and then I say, all right, I'm not going to overwhelm you. Now what I want you to do, and I've done this on coaching calls to people. All right, you're there. You need 5 more customers. You need 8 more customers. Go get them. Don't talk to me again until you get them.
Right.
Go.
Yeah.
If you have a question along the way, fine. Go get them, because like Legos, I need something to build with. Like you don't have enough to build with. Go and go get enough where your profit is above 100%. Go get some margin, and you take the big off your plate. Like, oh my god, off your heart. Like I have enough money to pay all the bills, and I have a business, and you know what? I'm working a lot, or whatever. You might be working 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, whatever the situation at that point. You got the money part good. And now you start implementing what you were saying. My last part's called the optimizer section. And this is where the optimizer toolbox, and you got all these different, the Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, the Parkinson's law. There's like all these different like nerdy things I do, but they're basic too. It's like, here's the hammer, here's the drill, here's the saw. We're going to build this. We're going to take your Legos, and we're going to now, find the best clients at the highest prices. We'll lose some of the old ones. We're going to get rid of the customers that cause you drama, because we don't want drama. We want peace. We want high priced. We want high profit, low drama customers. And we're going to find those. And as a solo, the beautiful thing is that, with 20 customers, if you do biweekly houses, 10 a week, 10 houses, if I might just do some quick math with you right now, if you don't mind.
Of course.
20 houses, we'll just go with like an industry, I think was a pretty decent industry average. If I say 180, that shouldn't appall you, right? 180 per house?
For a bi-weekly, that's fairly reasonable.
Okay, let's go with 180. 20 houses by 180 by 26 divided by 12, $7,800 revenue. That's $7,800 revenue. That's almost $100,000. And by the way, the profitability on a really good optimized solo cleaner, you can be in the low to mid 90s, believe it or not. But let's just be conservative. Yeah. Let's just say 85% times 85%. You keep $6,630 a month times 12. That's an $80,000 Here's the proof. Right on my calculator, 79,560. So that's $80,000 income cleaning 10 houses a week. Oh, and by the way, you start using productivity methods to get efficient, because you price by the job, not by the hour. These customers, they love you. You're doing a great job. Do they want you in their house all day? They just want a good. But they just want a good product, right? If you can give them a good product in 2 hours, are they just as happy as you give them a good product in 3? So
I'd say 90% would be happy if it's clean. If it's cleaner than when you started.
So if you got 10 houses and you can do them in 2 hours, well, that's not possible. Bet me. But let's just say 2.5 hours. Well, that's a lot of time. What's that? 10 by, that's 25. Like, that was too hard. That's 25 hours a week of cleaning. Is that a full-time job? That's a lot of cleaning, but 25 hours for an $80,000 job, essentially. And you could divvy that up how you want. You're a mom. You can do that 9 to 3, 6 hours. What's that? 4 days a week. There's a 4-day-a-week job, 9 to 3. You can do 2 days. I did like 11, 12-hour days, or 11-hour days. So I did 2 days. So I did 2 long days. And then I had 5 days. Actually, my best schedule, Chris, is when I was before I sold the business in New York, I was doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days of like 4 long days. And I took 10 days off.
Oh, that's great. So you were off more each than you were on.
So I did 4 clean, 10 off, 4 clean, 10 off. And I made like 65 grand. And that was like 5-6 years ago. So, but that's my system right there. But you see some of the pinch points and the numbers, knowing the numbers, and the mindset develops as you go, and the confidence grows. But you got to take action.
There's so much I want to say on this. I'll stick to 2. Otherwise, you'll have a very late bedtime tonight. But what I really like about what you just explained with your ISO model is it sets up a solo cleaner to be as profitable and lean as they can be, but it also sets them up to scale later on if they want to. So they can stay small and profitable and lean, but because they've optimized their setup, if they later want to add teams to help them and they want to clean even less, it's far easier for them to do that now because they've already optimized everything and they've got high-paying clients coming in. They know their numbers, they know how much each house is going to take, and they've got that reputation in their community. So when they do add 1 or 2 or 3 teams later on, if they want to, that transition will be 10 times easier. Then often people who come to me, they say, I'm burnt out of cleaning, I don't want to do it anymore. And they've adopted a negative mindset towards cleaning and they want to get out. That is much harder to get them out of than if they're already happy with the model they've built and they want to just take it a little bit further, right?
People that are really stressed out, that want to grow a team, the ones I see unsuccessful, they started growing in a position of negative margin. They had negative margin of money and negative margin of time. So what you just said, so if you're going to scale from the beginning, do it right like you teach, or like a Debbie Sardone teaches. Do it right, building it properly, and you can do it right from the beginning, and you can have that margin. If you're going to, or you can go the other side and build the business solo like this. And if you can get yourself, this is what I did. I scaled 2.5 years ago, and I had time and money margin. But if you can get yourself to 50, 60 grand, couple days a week, there's time to go out to networking meetings. There's time to build it. You've got the time margin to start building and building the systems you really need. Not, I need to get 5 helpers because I have too much work. No, you have time to go find the right people. You have money to invest in the systems to go build it the proper way. You need that margin. So this is an option to get the margin if you know you want to, at some point, you want to make a significant contribution to the community. You want to build a big business and give great jobs. You know what? Give yourself a great job first.
Man, what you said is true at all levels of business. When we see a lot of these unicorn businesses at the $1 billion level, like Uber, for example, the reason many of those businesses fail is because they had an attractive idea and they scaled without being profitable. And later on, that came to bite them in the ass, right? But if you actually start small and you make it work while you're small, you can then scale that up because you've proven to yourself that you can do it on a lower level and that you can be happy with it at that level before you inject your life savings into it or whatever, right? You want to prove that model to yourself before you go all in. And it's interesting to me because all the businesses that I've started which have had any sort of success, I started them with almost $0 because I had to make them work with almost no money. I was forced to make them profitable virtually from day one. And the businesses I invested in or bought that failed, it's because I didn't want to do the hard work and I didn't care about profitability at the start. I just thought it was a good model and I wanted to put my money in it and then run it on autopilot. And it's no surprise that those businesses failed because I didn't prove their model early on. I just assumed they would work, and that was a terrible mistake. And I think what's interesting about what you can do is you can repeat your ISO model. It's not a one-time thing. You don't stabilize and optimize one time. You stabilize and optimize, and then you can stabilize again as you grow, and then you can optimize again. And this is something I counsel people to do in the business model that I teach as a variant of this. We do a quarterly business health check where we look at each area of the business and we locate the weakest area. And then we build a 3-month plan around fixing the weakest area before the next health check. And typically in the home services industry, there's a slow season. Sometimes that might be January to February or wherever you are, what state you're in, there's typically a slow season for your service. You can take that slow season and that's where you can optimize. So when it's busy season again, you're well positioned to grow again. So when I hear you say initiate and stabilize and optimize, that's a process that you can do forever. It's not something that you go through one time.
Well, this is farming. It's farming. I mean, every year there's a winter and the ground is fallow and empty, and it's a time for you to sharpen your tools and get some rest and figure stuff out for the next season. What were the lessons learned from the last season? I could have gotten way more, but the summer was tough. Take all those lessons in and you start the next season better than the previous. Also, one of those lessons that you should be doing is, as you're coming into that busy season, is just one of those analysis is just look at what customers cause you the most drama. What customers do you love? What customers do you love to serve? Which ones are fun to serve? Which ones are more rewarding? Which ones pay the best? All those kind of things. And funnel that in, because now you're going to get, when you get busy, it's easy to get, you're getting all these calls and yes, 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 yes. Instead, you can create a filter. All the calls can still come in, but if you can handle things without emotion, which is, it's not easy, but if you can do it without emotion, you can learn to recognize the right combination of factors. Yeah, that's the right one. That's the right one. And now you're going to bring in a much better crop that next year.
Very good. Well, we're coming towards the end of the question part, but
Okay.
There's two questions I had for you. I wanted to ask you about Smart Cleaning School. So for our listeners, Ken runs smartcleaningschool.com. This is his personal brand membership cleaning course and tutoring, where he actually walks students, and particularly solo cleaners, through his ISO model. And I wanted to ask if you could just walk us through briefly what you do at Smart Cleaning School in a little more detail, and the membership that you offer people. Because what I'm trying to tease out here is the main difference that you're offering in your mentoring versus maybe some of the other offerings from other coaches out there in our industry. Yeah. What is it about Smart Cleaning School that you feel is the unique proposition that you're offering to people?
Oh, well, first of all, don't come to me if you want to hire someone right now.
Okay.
You don't want to deal with employees, right? You want to grow something profitable and build a schedule that you can have a schedule that you can create the freedom that you're looking to create and create the income you like to create. It's not going to be mind-blowing wealth, go buy a Ferrari, but can you handle your bills with 60, 70, 8, like the example, can you make $80,000 a year on 24 hours or less of work? Can you handle that kind of a lifestyle? And that's appealing to a lot of people that don't want to enter the employee arena. So Smart Cleaning School, that's a fundamental piece, is you love the idea and the possibilities of having going from a job to your own business, or taking the current business that you have as small and moving it to the next level. You love the idea of, oh yeah, I could make six figures like without having to hire anyone, and it could just be me cleaning, and I'm not going to be cleaning 110 hours a week. No, you can do that. Or if you think it's appealing, you want to make 80 grand on part-time hours and you don't have to deal with employees. Hey, employees down the road when you have the margin, like we talked about. So that is who I'm helping. But the people that I'm also helping, there's also, who's a good fit. Like if you have an employee mindset, you're not going to change. You're not willing to take action. You're not coachable. You're not willing to invest. You're not willing to think long term. If you think this is going to, well, Ken did it in 13 months. If I don't do it in 13 months, I'm not going to do it. There is, well, there's also Ken in the 15 years prior, which you don't want to have to do. I can speed that up. But it is an 18-month, I would say 18-month to 3-year process to really build this out amazing. Could you do it faster? Yeah, you could do it faster. Could it take longer? Yeah, if you don't listen. So that's a little bit of the who and stuff. Now, inside the Solo Elite membership, once you get those right people that are coachable, and I got podcasts on this. The Smart Cleaning School podcast is 420 episodes. Lots of stuff. Lots of Ken talking. I've done over 50 interviews with industry leaders, and I am ashamed that Chris has not been on my show. It's been on my mind. It just hasn't happened. I'm sorry.
We will fix it.
Yeah, exactly. But there's lots of free stuff out there just to get your mind, just to help you with your mindset. So even you just come to Smart Cleaning School just to get your brain working right on how to think through pricing and marketing and all the different factors and how to run a business. I could talk about all this stuff on the podcast. And then you come into the membership, like it's go time. It's time to change your life. Let's get serious. Let's get this to happen. I start you off with a scorecard. I've got okay, the nerd comes out in me here, but I've got a scorecard. And it maps your business, your solo business, exactly where you are in the ISO model. Are you initializer, stabilizer, optimizer? There's a score for that. And based on that, do some initial coaching and say, hey, congratulations, you're here. Here's where we can get to next. Let's do some mapping, do some strategy. So that's initial. And then we have membership calls. I have the ISO model course, which goes through my whole roadmap, all the different modules. And those are all accessible to members of the Solo Elite. There's a community. You can ask questions. You can connect. And it's something that I'm building. So that's kind of an overview of it. But really, again, if someone out here is listening to this and they're like, I want to do what Chris is teaching, but maybe let me just get a little bit more profitable as a solo first, then that sounds really good what Ken's talking about. Be serious about it. It's okay if you have fear, but don't just be the person that's always getting new information and just you're always getting new information and you're not doing anything with it. Like take action. There's simple steps and you're going to have to overcome that fear. Just because you're a solo doesn't mean you don't have to go talk to people. You will have to talk to people. You will need to learn. So those are maybe some qualifications, but does that answer your question? Trying to lay out like a kind of a package of what we're doing there.
It does. And I would ask as a follow-up, do they get access to the man himself? It's not just the community, but is there an individual component when they first join where they're able to kind of onboard and get to grips with what's expected of them next? They're not thrown into the, right?
No,
that's what the scorecard is for.
Yeah. I personally will like to onboard them. Who knows? If this gets so super huge, the future is unknown there. It's exciting. But I do like the personal element. I mean, I'm helping solo cleaners, so there's an element where I'm very active there. And I also have a setup where, some members, if they need extra time with me, I offer them, they can book private coaching with me one-on-one at half price of what I would charge for someone outside of the membership. So it's an option. They like, I just need extra time. And I couldn't get that answer on a Zoom call, or I couldn't get that, in the community, but I just need you to look at my numbers one more time. Okay, no problem. Book a private session with me. You get half price. And they're like, okay, cool. So yeah, I do want to be very hands-on.
The final question I think I have for you today is taking a step back from the solo cleaning and more into the Ken as a person and an entrepreneur for what's next. I'm curious, is there a project that you've had on the back burner for maybe some time, maybe years, that you feel really strongly about, but you haven't done it yet? I'm curious if there's a direction that you're looking to expand, whether it's Smart Cleaning School or another project you've thought, I want to do this for so many years, but I haven't done it yet. I'm curious what's next for Ken and what's kind of bubbling up in the idea part of Ken right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I think my answer it won't surprise you because you know me pretty well just from talking on conversation. You know that I'm all about family and my kids and obviously the time I spend with my wife and my children. So I always wanted the money so we could take care of take care of the family. But I wanted the time so I could have the time with my wife and my kids so that I could really develop them and disciple them and have time just to be part of them growing up. I'm heavily involved in a church ministry called the Royal Rangers. Some of the listeners may even heard of it, but it's an amazing Christian ministry to really infuse manhood in these young boys, to teach them life skills and biblical skills to prepare them as a man. Like there's a you really get into some things. I don't go too far like political, but there's just a real lack of biblical manhood out there that we see, and we're equipping these boys to become strong men. I love the ministry. I'm very active in it, and I have a heart I'm a leader in a local church doing that. I have a heart to continue to grow that and to teach these boys and to bring more boys in, and that's a big part. And also now that I'm growing a cleaning company with a team, I'm starting to, after being a solo for so long, it's really exciting. I'm like, now I'm part of the community. I'm building a company. I'm providing jobs for people. I'm very active in my chamber. We just won, like behind me, there's this little award there. It's the first award I ever won. We got Small Business of the Year in our chamber last year, which
Congratulations.
was, thank you. Yeah. Like that was awesome. And I'm making an impact in my local community, just for the cleaning business. And that's given me a lot of excitement to continue growing and giving good jobs to people, or obviously our income will grow. So those are things that really inspire me, and they're right here close to home. I want to be a community builder. As far as like other entrepreneurial projects, I mean, we already mentioned smart cleaning school, so I want to train up a whole tribe of solo optimized cleaners, and then set them up for success. So there's a ton of them all over the country that are making great money. So that's a big piece of it. So there's a couple things that are on my plate, but it's really going to always come back. Like my why is always my family. And I'm not the hard charging entrepreneur that's going to get involved in so many projects that it takes me away from my family. I purposely will divest from those things so that I can invest where it counts the most for me, which is right here at home and in my community. So that's how I'm hardwired.
I love that you said that, because there's so much talk, and I'm part of this problem, I will admit. There's so much talk about remote cleaning businesses and remote local businesses, where you're removing yourself from the community aspect of the local business. I really like that you feel strongly about staying within your local community and actually having positive impact. And I know we haven't spoken on air about it, but we had spoken privately before. I'd also done a lot of men's work the past few years. So there could be an interesting future conversation there too, because it's something I also feel very strongly about. It's something the world needs a lot more of, especially at the local level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be glad to have the conversation with you. There's an interesting comment I got from a customer recently. So I'm at a customer's, and I'm there personally. I'm dropping off something, and I have an employee that works there, and I'm talking to the front desk. It's a commercial, obviously, an office building. And I'm talking to her, and I says, "How's the cleaning? Is everything being good?" I'm very personal, emailing and connecting, and she knows about me. Like we went to Florida now for a month. We did a month in Florida twice, and I forgot to mention that. So we were
posting about that.
That's cool. That was cool. Yeah, I couldn't do that as a solo. Love you guys. So the solo, like there's some things you can do, but that you couldn't do as a solo. But I did that twice now. That was awesome. So she knew like where we'd gone in Florida. So we're talking. We have a relationship. Like we're friends. I'm friends with my customers, and so I said, "How's the cleaning's awesome," and then I was so happy. And she says, "Funny story. Actually got another cleaning company called last week, and they started pitching and asking about cleaning." I said, "No, we are totally good here. We have a cleaner." And then she said to me, she says, when a company like that calls, it just feels like a faceless company. It's just like a robot calling, but like it's like you. It's like, Ken, I know you. It's like I have a relationship. We have a relationship. I know you. I trust you. You pop into the office. And because of that, she feels comfortable and safe. And it's like she doesn't want to. She's not going to entertain some robot or some faceless company. And I know this is part of your. I'm not just in my own personal experience.
Not at all. It's admittedly a problem.
Yeah. And so she said that to me, and I'm like, wow, I really appreciate that. And I left. I'm like, that is so cool. How do I maintain that as we grow? And it's relationships. And the community part is so cool. I'm really enjoying being a part of the community. I'm active. I'm actually helping my chamber start a podcast, actually.
Oh, no kidding. Very cool.
So I'm going to start a podcast for my chamber. It will be the first one in our whole area to have our own podcast. So we're going to interview, some of the founders and entrepreneurs from our area, and I'll be interviewing them, which it's going to be kind of cool because I interview them, I bring their stories, and then when they think of cleaner, they're going to think of the guy that interviewed them on the podcast.
Yep. It all ties together.
Yeah. So I can get talking and share all these stories, but I thought that was kind of a fun story just to kind of highlight the one point you just made about that community piece. It really makes a difference.
It does. And it's really, this is a good ending note too, I think. You don't have to give up a community aspect or a familial aspect when you start a business. You don't have to have $1 million whatever business, right? you have to have a business that makes you and your family happy, that supports you, and it has a positive impact in your community. It's so nice to see a fellow business owner who's so clear on what they do and what they want out of their business, and who is helping others get there, because it's a rare thing even among coaches, I find, who are able to tie everything so well together. I find many coaches are really good at one thing. They're really good at marketing, or they're really good at sales, or they're really good at hiring and team culture. They've got their superpower. But I think it's rare, and I think you display this. You display a balance in many different areas of running and managing a business and teaching others. And I really respect that in you a lot. So I really appreciated the conversation that we've had today. I would encourage everyone to check out smartcleaningschool.com. That's Ken Carfagno's website. That's where you can find more of him. Or you could look him up on my friends list, I suppose, on Facebook. But if you want to stalk us, I've listened to his podcast too. I've listened to a number of his episodes over the years, and hopefully, maybe someday in the future, you'll see me on there. So, thank you so much for jumping on today, Ken. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm really honored that you could be our first guest on this podcast who's an expert coming in and teaching a different model. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Chris, I really appreciate you having me on. It really was an honor on this side of the table as well. We've been friends for quite a while. I've watched your success over the years. I've been in all of what you do, and the respect goes both ways. So thank you so much. And I hope this really helps some people out there.
Oh, I think it'll help a little bit more than you realize, man. So thank you so much again. And we will catch up soon. It won't be 6 months this time.
Okay, deal.